Sheriff Mike Wade is going to be with us for the next segment, and he is running for Congress. And Mike Wade here right now. Sheriff, good to have you with us.
Good to be here.
All right, Sheriff, the first order of business on the surface, it looks like a hopeless cause. Well, your opponent, assuming you win, is either going to be Don McEachin or Ella Ward McEachin, the favorite to win that. But look, this is a district that it is winnable because Bob McDonnell, running for governor, carried the new district in 2009. He got just over 51%. Also, Ken Cuccinelli, as Attorney General, got over 50%. He carried the district, so it's not impossible. Tough, no question. Not the easiest district to run in. But look, the first order of business is your primary on June 14th. Your challenger or the other candidate in the race, Jackie Gonzalez, nice young lady. Here's my first question right off the bat. Why should people on Tuesday vote for Sheriff Mike Wade instead of Jackie Gonzalez?
Of the two of us, I'm the one that has experience. I have 42 years of working in government, which I don't know is a positive or a negative, but I started out as a clerical employee with the FBI, became a police officer, and then in 2000 I was elected sheriff. I've done a lot of things as sheriff that have cut costs in our agency and improved lives, and I would like to take that to Washington.
Sheriff, let's get to some of the issues. If you were in Congress now, there was a vote yesterday on the Puerto Rican debt restructure. We've been all over this, and we just had Rob Whitman on. He voted no. If you were in Congress, how would you have voted on that and why?
I would have voted no because I think we got to stop at some point in time of bailing things out and spending their money on mistakes. Mm-hmm. You know, if the government spends any money on anything, it should be investment in the future, things that'll profit or benefit the citizens. Mm-hmm. And I don't see how that benefits the citizens of the country at all.
Now, when you look at your elections for sheriff in Henrico, you've been pretty successful at that. What is the coalition that you've been able to put together? Because you've won them quite handily, although it's not exactly what you would call a locked-in Republican situation. Obviously, you've been able to appeal to two sides of the aisle. You've been able to get liberals, African Americans, Latinos, whatever, in your county to vote for you. How have you been able to reach out to them?
I think people look at me as somebody that cares about individuals. And I've some common sense solutions. One of the big things I'm known for is our substance abuse program, which is a huge problem across the country. And back in 2000, we started a program we call RISE, Recovery in a Secure Environment. And we started out with 20 beds, and now it's grown to 300 beds. And there's been close to 15,000 people that have been in it. And it's made a benefit and changed a lot of people's lives. And it's very successful. And it's not just locking people up. And that's what I think people have liked about what I've done. And, helping improve lives.
So let's say this race comes down. Let's say you win Tuesday, and it comes down to Mike Wade and Don McEachin, who's the favorite. I mean, Ella Ward is putting up a very spirited resistance, if you will. She's got an outside shot, but inside money, inside baseball says McEachin is going to likely be the nominee. How would you run your race for Congress against Don McEachin?
I think talk about what I've done. I think I've got more of a record of helping people than he has. I think his negatives in that area are greater than people realize. I think I can reach out to a lot of people that other people can't reach and get them to come to our side and support us for this election.
Look, you look at the district, obviously Richmond, Petersburg, part of the district, McEachin, very popular, expected that he would carry that area pretty substantially. I mean, in order to win this race, you're going to have to go into the African-American community. You're going to have to go into the churches. You're going to have to take it right to McEachin. You're going to get outspent. He's going to have a ton of money behind him if he's the nominee. Financially, he's going to have a big edge. How do you take this fight to him in areas where he is seen as an overwhelming favorite, primarily in Richmond?
I'm not sure he's that big a favorite in that area, or that well liked in that area as everybody makes him out to be. I've had a number of the pastors that have come to me. In fact, one of them commented, you got to win the primary because we got to get you elected. We can't let Donald McEachin get the seat that was made for him. Mm-hmm. So I think there's room out in there to get in there and grab that vote, because he's not as big a favorite as everybody makes him out to be.
Well, it's interesting you say that. The last couple segments we've had on Ella Ward, who is running against McEachin in the Democratic primary on June 14th, being very authentic and taking it to McEachin, saying the seat was designed for him, and that she said the process is rigged. She still feels she could beat him. I think that's a long shot, but she has a shot. So it's going to be tough, though. I mean, here you got a district which, he has been the heir for this for some time, and he's planned on it for some time. How do you turn so many people that in a district that's been set up for Don?
Well, if you look at his history, he's really had no Republican competition in that district. Mm-hmm. He's always run really unopposed in those elections. So he's never had to deal with it, and he's looked at as a favorite because he's the only one there. So I think going in and challenging him, I've always done one in that well in that area of Henrico, which goes over into the city. So I think we can reach in and talk about a common sense solution about helping people. The thing that I'm best known for is mental illness and substance abuse, and that is something that touches everyone. And I think that gives me an edge to go in and talk about how we can make changes on the federal level to improve those areas.
Now, how do you see the Trump-Clinton race going in the 4th district?
I think it's going to be a little bit tough. I've always been endorsed by the Free Press, even over the Democrats. And
the Richmond Free Press.
Richmond Free Press.
That's basically the African American
Democratic,
right?
And they did not endorse a Republican and said they would not endorse a Republican because both of us supported Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a telltale in itself there. But you go other places and everybody is overwhelmingly behind Donald Trump. So I think it's going to be hard to get some of that vote for him.
If you were the nominee and you were debating, let's say, either of the Democrats right now, McEachin or Ella Ward, councilwoman from Chesapeake, what would be one of your biggest questions to either of them as the Republican nominee?
Well, I would question them on their records and things that people are in favor of. Donald McEachin is totally against gun rights. He's come out of it. We've debated that before. And he really doesn't have any, that I've seen, anything that talks about helping people. Mm-hmm. It's just about civil rights and those type of issues that he's pushing that I think people are looking more than that now. And I really don't know that much about Ella. I know she has, when I heard her speak at one of the areas that we were at, she talked about schools. And it seems like that's where her focus is.
Yes.
And we need to take the information. We need to take the schools back to the localities and not take them to the federal government.
Well, look, there's no question about that. This government has got to be downsized. We get a lot of Republicans running for Congress, and they talk about the debt, Sheriff Wade, but then they get in there and they vote for omnibus, and they vote for cromnibus, and they vote for every spending bill that comes down the pike. And how would a Mike Wade congressional office buck that trend?
Well, I would like to start some discussion on really who's responsible, what level of government's responsible for certain issues. We have things like mental health at all levels are responsible, but the only one that provides any of the actual care to the people is the local level. So let's do away with some of the bureaucracy and put the money where the services are deserved. Really, I would like to be able to come out and say on all different types of issues what level of government is actually responsible for it instead of 3, and cut out a lot of the bureaucracy and let people do their job at the right level.
Well, Sheriff Wade, there are many Republicans like myself, not all, but many, that believe that prison reform in the United States is long overdue. I've been railing on this since I've been in the air in 2011, that basically the United States has the highest incarceration rate of percentage of any country in the free world, and many countries in the non-free world were still higher. We have the highest recidivism rate of any organized free country, and it's not even close. It's higher than China's, higher than Russia's. It's a epidemic that we have, and a lot of people like me think one of the reasons for this, and I want to get your comments on it, is that since we went to things like 3 strikes, you're out, that sound, they're kind of catchphrases, and they sound good or whatever, but we've got people serving long federal terms for a third offense that was not that big of a deal. We've also got the issue where many prisons are now privatized, and so the prison ownership lobby has to fill the beds to make money, and so they're for all this stuff. How would a Congressman Mike Wade change that? What would be your vision of prison reform in the United States?
Well, I jokingly tell people there are 2 kinds of people in jail, those that are on drugs and those that need to be on them, because those are the 2 biggest issues, substance abuse. 80% of the people in the jails are there because of substance abuse problems. That doesn't mean they were arrested for using drugs. It's because of a crime that's associated with it. And then we have a tremendous
in order to get the money to buy the drugs.
And then we have a tremendous amount of people that have mental illnesses. So, and one of the things that I've said I want to do for the mental illness part is we have a lot of young people that are in there with mental illnesses that their families have tried to get them help. And they can't become involved in their help because the HIPAA laws prevent the families from being involved. So I would look at trying to do something first with the HIPAA laws to try to prevent people from coming there and get the help before they do it. And if you have a jail with 80% of the people having a substance abuse problem, not having some type of drug treatment in every jail in the country is the wrong thing. We just started a new program in Henrico for heroin, as an example, where the judges, instead of sending them to the penitentiary for a couple of years, they're putting them in jail for a year. They're going through our substance abuse program. Then we'll put them on a work crew where they're working around the county. Then they go to work release and home incarceration. It's kind of similar to drug court, except that we keep them under our thumb as long as we can, and to try to get them to be able to take their lives back. So I think working towards helping people, it should be the focus of the jails instead of just locking people up. And it really isn't that expensive. Mm-hmm. It's just changing the way you do things and changing the culture.
Sheriff, you just had a forum with Ms. Gonzalez, I think Tuesday night in Henrico, if I believe. How did it go, and are there things about that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I think it went very well. I think I had common sense, experience, the solutions that I provided, and I think she was very scripted, and I had nobody coaching me. She had somebody on the front row coaching her the whole time that she was speaking. So I think I'm much better qualified for this and came up with the answers from my experience as opposed to just being taught the answers.
Okay, I've got a couple of text questions. One from Glenn in Chesapeake. He says he's in the 4th District. He says, ask Sheriff Wade, will he use the power of the purse in Congress to check presidential power?
Absolutely. I think, this nation was created where everybody had, the 3 powers, and the president definitely has overstepped his powers. And I would use what powers that we have in Congress to prevent situations like was created by President Obama.
I've got a question here from Jim in Chesapeake. Also in your district, Jim says, John, please ask Sheriff Wade, who is in charge of captures on land and sea? And he says this is in regard to the prisoners at Guantanamo Bay.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say I'm not sure on that.
Are you in favor of maintaining our prison base at Gitmo, or like President Obama, do you want to disband it and bring those prisoners into the U.S.?
No, I'm very much in favor of keeping them at Gitmo, and really they're under the custody of the military, and they should remain under the custody of the military.
So you would be in favor of maintaining Gitmo?
I think today shows us that many of them have gotten released, have gone back, and are fighting us again. So we took them into custody for a reason, and they should remain in custody.
If Trump gets elected president, and I believe he will, one of the first things he's going to do, Sheriff Wade, if you're in Congress, is he's going to go to Congress, and he's going to ask for monetary approval, because Congress does have the power of the money. Regardless of what tariffs he puts on for Mexico, he's going to go to Congress and ask for the money to build the wall. Are you going to have to make a judgment on that? Well, what would it be?
I think the wall is very necessary for us. We've got to lock down our borders and prevent people coming in. I think dealing with the people that are already here are going to be a different situation.
That's going to be a little bit of a tougher situation, right? I mean, Trump is calling for getting them out and then having a process for them to reapply to get back in. And his thing is, if you broke the law, you broke the law, and we just can't stand around and have a country with no borders and no laws. Trump is also going to come to Congress and ask for a series of tariffs on goods and services that are on companies, not services, on goods on companies that have shipped their jobs out overseas. He's going to ask for a tariff on the goods coming back in order to disincentive companies from moving out. How do you stand on that?
I think I want to look at each one of those individually and see how they affect the workers in this country and the businesses in this country, and make the decision based on what's best for the United States.
He's also going to ask for a reduction in the corporate income tax. We have a 35% corporate income tax. It's the highest of any free country in the globe, and that's driving, again, a lot of companies out. We can't get the capital back in. How do you stand on that?
I would very much be in favor of that, too, because reducing the taxes is going to make it better for everybody on down the line and create jobs and boost the economy. So I think that's the right thing to do.
Okay, we're out of time for this segment. I want to thank Sheriff Mike Wade for being with us. We'll be right back.